I'm John James,
And I'm Daisy James.
and this is our story as parents with a son in the wilderness of addiction.
John and I adopted our son in 1997. We decided through family and friends to adopt from Russia.
So our son had a normal childhood. Really from the time that we brought him home from Russia, he always knew that he was adopted and actually had lots of friends who were adopted as well. Did very well in school and graduated, with great grades, and was so excited about going to Troy University.
When he got to Troy, that's when all of a sudden he started seemingly feeling a absence in his life of not knowing about his biological parents. So that's when I feel probably issues of adoption first surfaced.
Really, the first time we were aware of our son's drinking was probably the summer before his sophomore year. We realized that he was drinking a little bit, but we just assumed it was social drinking and really wasn't anything that was going to be of a major concern.
As our son went into his sophomore year of college, we got a phone call in the middle of the night that he had been arrested for a DUI.
After the first DUI, we really didn't think it was a serious issue. We thought it was young immaturity, just not understanding how serious he needed to take things like drinking and driving. But unfortunately, we realized that was not the case down the road.
3 weeks later, we got another one of those horrible phone calls that he was in jail again for another DUI. And it was devastating. I started a major down spiral that night. I paced the floor nonstop, like, how could he do this again? And initially, sadly, I was like, how could he do this to us again? Which was selfish, but it was. I was like, how can he do this to us again?
And at the same time, how did we fail him? We were just like, what did we do wrong? Which is just, cuts you to the core.
Mm-hmm. John Stakely is somebody that we've known for quite a while, as he was the youth leader at our church. And so we reached out to John and said, will you give him a call? And John Stakely was like, of course I will. Of course, our son initially would not call him back. He kind of held him at arm's length. But John Stakely didn't give up on him. After the second DUI, his sophomore year, we brought him home.
But we fairly quickly realized that during the night, really, after midnight, he had snuck alcohol into the house and was drinking pretty heavily. And he finally admitted that he bought the biggest bottle of liquor that he could find. And he drank as much of it as he could. And his hope was that he would drink until he went to sleep and that he would never wake up. And that was just devastating for us that he wanted to use alcohol in that way, basically to make everything go away, including his life going away. It just doesn't make any sense to us, because we've never been in that situation, how the addiction just totally grips someone and totally changes how they would ever logically think.
Mm-hmm. As parents, you're at a loss when your child has gone through something like this. And so we reached out to John and said, help. We need help. What do we do?
John was able to lead us through that and lead our son through that, to really get to the point where he admitted and recognized and said, yes, I've got to go seek help.
Mm-hmm.
So ultimately our son decided on a treatment center over in Oxford, Mississippi. And it was one that John Stakely and I both believed would be a really good option for him. But as John told us, we knew it had to be our son's decision ultimately, because if he was not bought in, it was not going to be successful. He's been there a little over 30 days now and is doing very, very well. But the other day he made sure that we knew that he had hit his 30 days without alcohol, and that was a really neat thing.
It gives me a peace to know that when our son gets home, that John Stakely will be there. Like any other time that it's been a critical moment, you don't know how to parent through this, but John's been there.
To me, what makes Unbound Grace unique is the fact that John has been there, and he's been on both sides now. His unique background of being a youth pastor and bringing that aspect of it is so important, but he's also unfortunately been on the other side. He's been the addict, he's been in addiction, he's been in recovery. So the fact that he knows both sides, he can talk from the grace of God, he can also talk about the issues that comes with addiction. He brings a unique perspective that I don't think many people can bring. If I was talking to other parents that are in a similar situation as we are with our son, I would tell them, don't beat yourself up because you feel like you don't have the tools. There are tools and there are people who can help you as parents so effectively, and Unbound Grace is a perfect example of that. They are able to walk side by side with us. They have been, and they'll continue to do that. And we've seen the fruit of that through what's going on right now with our son.
Our son is making it out of the wilderness, and it would not be possible without Unbound Grace.